This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome to our Business Builders webinar series. It's a lunchtime series, so I hope you brought your lunch today. Today we're welcoming Cody Lavallee from ACCL Marketing Group, and we're eager to hear what he has to say about recession-proof digital marketing. So it's a great topic, and we're looking forward to it. I have a couple of housekeeping tips right now. We're going to mute everyone. And after the session is done, I'll send out a recording to everyone and the presentation that Cody makes today. I'll do that as well. So you may have questions during the presentation. Please use the chat feature, enter your questions in there, and I'll keep an eye on that. If it is something that we about what Cody's talking about right then and there, I'll interrupt him so that he can address your question. If not, I'll probably save them to the end. We have a question and answer period at the end. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Cody Lavallee.
Thanks for the introductions, Nancy, and thank you everyone for having me here today. Like she mentioned, today I'm going to be going over some recession-proof digital marketing tips, really covering some of the basics here in terms of strategy and development. But without further ado, I just want to go ahead and kick it off and just introduce my agenda first. Foremost, I'm going to be getting into a little bit about me before we go ahead and kick off. Again, just ACCL and marketing in general, who we are and what we serve. Building the right strategy is what we're going to dive into, as well as some cost-effective tools that are available for your business to go ahead and utilize right away, as well as looking at maybe some cost-effective ways to bring in an agency if it's now time to go ahead and do something like that. Maybe some of the work that you're doing is just getting too extensive and you're looking to bring someone on for help. The next thing that we can look to finish up with would be some of the importance of community-based content. I think it's very essential, especially in times of recession, that we look local and look to adhere to our communities that we're looking to develop internally. And lastly, we'll kick it off, like Nancy mentioned, with some questions. So if anyone has any questions, we'll look to try and leave it towards the end. Otherwise, if there's anything pressing that I'm going over at the time, feel free. Again, Nancy will go ahead and interrupt me. We can just go over those. So without further ado, just about me. Just a quick about me. So I'm the co-founder of ACCL Marketing. We were founded in 2018. ACCL Marketing is a marketing agency where we focus on really bridging that gap between content development and traditional consulting that agencies tend to offer. We are a startup Worcester 2019 cohort winner. So again, we started up in 2018. The next year following, we're deemed one of the most promising startups in the Worcester area. ACCL assists small to medium-sized businesses in the area. Whether you guys have an internal marketing team already or not, we come in and supply those services to you. And just a quick little icebreaker as well, I'm actually a part-time soccer coach with the New England Revolution, helping out some of their youth programs. So very excited to go ahead and kick that off once some of this snow melts, hopefully. So diving right into things, let's go ahead and start talking about building the right strategy. When building the right strategy, it's important to keep 4 things in mind. Let's talk about audience, intention and goal, timeline, and budget. Now, everyone's strategy is going to look a little different, whether you're talking about a specific digital campaign that you're going to be doing or an overhaul of a whole strategy in general where it encompasses multiple avenues. Everyone's budget is going to be a little different, but this is a matter of building the right baseline and creating that foundation so you can identify what will work for you, especially in a time where you need to be cost effective with your marketing. So first, let's clearly define your audience. I'm going to get into that in some of my next slides, where we want to look to spend less time and effort on prospects that wouldn't buy from you in the first place. Let's just go ahead and get them out of the way, and let's define and look for those individuals or those markets that we want to really key in on. Next, it's important to set clear and measurable campaign goals. It's a great idea to start small and set obtainable goals with clear, measurable metrics in mind. Anything you can quantify in a sense is going to be good for you to really kick the ground off and get running in terms of building small campaigns to even larger ones that you're trying to go through on a month-to-month basis or quarterly or say yearly. And lastly, like I mentioned, setting a specific timeline in regards to that is extremely important when creating those benchmarks and those measurable goals, because what you're going to want to do is be able to go ahead and actually allocate some of your time to understanding the analytics and metrics behind those campaign goals. Are you clearly hitting success? Are there avenues that you need to grow in? And like I mentioned, budget, it's always going to change for everyone. There's not one clear budget that makes sense to necessarily any business. Everyone's allocation towards marketing dollars is going to be different. You should be, when considering a budget, looking to make it as seen as a smart investment to you. It should not be considered an expense or something that you're dreading at the end of the month. It should make sense to you and be something that you're comfortable with going forward, so that way you're not draining marketing dollars. Building the right strategy. Like I mentioned, let's clearly define the first of your audience. So when you're looking at your audience, the first thing you want to go ahead and identify is who and why. So who are you looking to go ahead and go after, and why are you actually going after this market? How will you go ahead and target them? Is there a specific campaign idea, or do you want to utilize, say, certain social media tools that are out there or online tools that are out there to go ahead and target this audience? And lastly, what platforms will you use? It's a smart idea to create and develop a diversified marketing mix when you're actually going and building the right strategy. To do so, it's great to go ahead and look at multiple platforms and not put all your eggs into one basket. For example, there are different platforms that are out there that can go ahead and hit different markets. LinkedIn, for example, is much more geared towards, say, professionals, and you can go ahead and target based on job positions, for example, or even locations. If you're looking at something like Instagram or Facebook, maybe we're talking about age demographics in particular, or again, targeting based on location, due to the services that Facebook and Instagram have internally on their ads platform. It's all a matter of defining the audience first, and then you can go ahead and strategize an actual plan on how to approach them. But without first identifying who you want to go after, whether it's demographic wise or a specific market, your strategy is going to lack. So really the first key in building that foundation is identifying a clear audience. Moving forward with creating the right strategy, I've kind of blended two things into one into this slide. It's SMART goals. I'm sure we've all heard about SMART goals, right? Nothing necessarily new here, but it is great. And this is particularly important in our discovery sessions that I tend to do with clients. So in a discovery session, what we tend to do here is, again, really lay out the specifics and identify and just put it all on the table, who we are going after. So that way there's no questions at all in terms of what our campaign goals are going to be, and identifying how we're going to approach them and the timeline that's allocated with that. So starting off specific, making goals that are clear and specific. We need to just ensure that they are measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So with that, defining measurable assets, quantifying certain numbers and things of that nature. It's always great to be able to quantify, so that way we can go ahead and see those obtainable benchmarks actually formulate in terms of numbers. Attainable set goals that are actually attainable for your brand. Not everyone is going to be able to have in an online presence, say, tens of thousands of followers. If you're starting small or even starting from scratch at zero, let's set attainable goals that actually make sense to you. Maybe in that first month, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and hit 10 million views on one of your videos and hope that it goes viral. Maybe we start small and say 100 views and 10 likes. Let's go ahead and just build up, so that way we are creating a community here and adhering to those goals. Relevant, let's ensure that the goals are relevant towards the overall business. Again, making sure that what you're doing here is obtaining towards those goals. So is the campaign that you're producing or looking to put out there, is it actually relevant in the sense that it's A, building you awareness as a company, or bringing in marketing dollars and creating ROI for your business? So are you selling based on the campaign that you've developed within your strategy? And lastly, time-based. It's essential to keep it in a time-based sense, because again, with the whole topic here being recession-proof digital marketing tips, we need to understand and set certain times and benchmarks that will allocate towards those goals to ensure that we are hitting those benchmarks. When you set a certain time, it keeps everyone modest and just moving towards that similar goal and on the same path. And lastly, let's go ahead and talk about when building the appropriate strategy for your business, creating a campaign budget that's appropriate for you. I mentioned again that it's fine that your budget may be small or larger than others. It's completely okay. Everyone's budget is different. If your budget looks something along the lines of this image that I presented below, you'll notice that there's multiple avenues that you're taking care of and adhering to. So once again, maybe you're not able to hit every single one of these in an online strategy, but it's a matter of keying in on certain avenues that you think or that you know already will be adherent to your business and will actually prove to be ROI specific. So for example, having a clean and SEO approved website is going to be very good for you. Email marketing can be great for your business. Online advertising, all great avenues to look to explore that are going to adhere to your budget. It's a matter of identifying that budget first, so then you can go ahead and put the specific dollars that you need or acquire the certain help that you need within those areas to maximize your website. Adhere towards getting great content built for your business and getting that stuff put onto your social media or utilized within your email marketing. It all comes down to, again, being able to make something make sense for you. Moving forward, I wanted to present some of these cost-effective tools that are actually available for you. So again, whether you're a small or medium-sized business, there actually are multiple tools out there just for you to go ahead and utilize and get yourself off the ground and running. If this is more or less, say, a one-man marketing shop, or if you just have, say, a certain helper that's assisting you with posting for social media. We've seen it all at ACCL. It really can be as large as having an internal team where you have everything from, say, 5 to 10 people, or as small as, say, one person, again, helping you out. Diving into the specifics for each of these, Canva is a great way to go ahead and get some of your social media content built out. If you guys have not utilized it already, you do not necessarily need a designer degree or anything like that to go ahead and build out some enticing materials for your brand. Anything from social media posts to materials that can get printed as well. Canva has actually even introduced a more or less type of video platform that they're new to go ahead and getting out there. So you can make graphics that actually move now. So again, just looking to enhance and adhere to certain social media platforms. Hootsuite is another great tool that you can go ahead and use. It's an automation tool. So if you're managing and running multiple different platforms, say you have a Twitter account, you have a Facebook account, you really look to diversify within the marketing mix there, and you're trying to attract different audiences. Hootsuite could be a great way to go ahead and automate some of those posts that you get out there. You can go ahead and schedule specific captions based on the platform, specific content so that it will adhere towards your audience in particular. And with that being said, again, it just clears up a lot of your time. So really is a convenience there in terms of Hootsuite being able to assist you in managing some of those more strenuous kind of accounts where you have, say, 4 or 5 as needed. Fiverr as well is an interesting one. It's actually a freelance website. So if you need anything, for example, say a graphic created and you just really don't have the time, it's a commission basically. So what you can do is you can commission people to go ahead and build this stuff out for you. They may have, say, an hourly rate, or they go based on a project. So whether it's a type of graphic that you need done, a video, a website built, this is a database of freelancers that will assist you in building out some of that stuff. So maybe you're not ready to bring on a marketing agency just yet or add an extra person onto the team. This can kind of get you those one-off done projects done pretty quickly and appropriately. It just may require a little bit more back and forth with the designer to really understand your specifics of what you need. The next thing I wanted to introduce would be this logo here in the bottom middle. It's called ChatGPT. Some of you guys may have actually been introduced to it before or seen some news about it. Definitely making some headway in the news today. It's basically just an artificial intelligence chatbot that pulls together a whole database of algorithms and information. So at the end of the day, what it does is it really simplifies certain tasks and items if you have certain questions regarding a topic. Or for example, if you want to look to build out a social media caption or an email geared towards a specific demographic or market, this can be a great starting point to help you build out kind of that baseline or template rather. So ChatGPT has definitely been evolving. People have been recepting it relatively in 1 or 2 ways, either very positively or negatively. It's here to stay as of right now. Again, AI has only been growing. So if it's something you want to dive into and give it a shot, there's definitely the opportunity there for you within ChatGPT. And then lastly, this isn't necessarily something that's new, but it is something that will provide you a multitude of views and open you up to a great amount of awareness if you can be successful and just get yourself onto TikTok. TikTok today is a video platform, which many of you may or may not know, roughly geared towards those 6 to 10 second videos, but the platform's actually increased now to where you can even post 3-minute longer videos. But basically, at the end of the day, what this platform does is it opens up a first person kind of view or camera video view into the sense of what a business is, or some of the behind the scenes where you can get kind of enticing and fun, showcasing some more trends that are going on, whether they're related to a marketing topic or a business topic in particular, or even again, just adhering to social trends. TikTok is a great way to get your brand out there. For example, there are many influencers that do a multitude of things, such as going into businesses and checking out the latest types of food that they offer, right? They can do a food review, and those types of videos, for example, have gotten multitudes of likes, shares. They've really just gone viral. Not to say that's the only type of things that go viral on there. There are many different types of businesses taking advantage of this. I've seen anything from landscaping all the way to, say, people that are even dentists or pilots, right? You can get the behind the scenes or just inside look on kind of like what your day is and showcase that to brands and also just your audience. So it really makes it enticing for people, and it is a great avenue for you to explore today that is free. It really just takes, again, your time to go ahead and maximize the content that you're getting out there to your audience. I wanted to continue with just some more cost-effective tools that are available. Again, these things may not necessarily be new to you, but they are very cost-effective and they are essential towards building your online business. You'd really be surprised to understand that certain people are just out there not really taking advantage of this stuff when they are super cost-effective or free, for example, in certain cases. Google My Business. If you're not on Google right now today, Google is the #1 search engine, so it really makes sense for you to go ahead and get on there to maximize your business growth and just showcase the awareness behind your business, whether you have an actual physical address, have some testimonials that you want to go ahead and produce out there and show to the world, or even some photos. Google My Business is a great way to just allocate your business there. And then once you're in the My Business account, people can go ahead and find you, whether it's through maps or anything along that nature. So they can go ahead and plug in your address directly. And as you know, with handhelds being so important in today's society, it's very essential to go ahead and play towards that type of stuff. I'm going to continue with the BBB accredited business website. So as many of you should know, the BBB offers a website that you guys can go ahead and utilize and maximize in terms of your local SEO. So with that being said, going back to Google or search engines like Bing, if you guys have your accredited business profile updated as appropriately as possible and just up to date, your business will appear within these searches if they are looking for you on a local scale. So it's great to go ahead and improve that. It plays along to my next aspect of looking into, say, Wix or Shopify. If you guys do not have your own website or, again, Better Business Profile, it's very essential to get that going, because now it opens up the door for you to be able to be found on Google and then look to maximize that further with, say, Google advertising or social media advertising as well. So that way, when you are on a search engine, your name is popping up. Next, I want to go ahead and introduce some cost-effective ways to hire an agency. So when looking to hire an agency, it's important to understand a few things. So hire an agency, you can look to hire them to either post or develop content as needed within your social media account. It's not necessarily especially with ACCL with us, we do not necessarily need to take over the whole overhaul of your marketing in general. We come in as an add-on to what you're doing currently or what you're looking to incorporate. It's always great to start small with, say, small projects or say a one-time type of deal with a sprint campaign where we're looking to either hit a certain execution mark at, say, month 3 or at month 6, and go ahead and go from there to build upon certain aspects. This can be anything from advertising to building graphics to, again, those one-time projects such as like a video or even a website development. Hiring an agency, there are multiple benefits towards doing so, where, like I mentioned, you're now getting an expert to assist you in the terms of the marketing and really understanding the whole avenues of who you're trying to go after. So really just understanding the ins and outs of building that strategy and executing it in a better fashion than maybe you would be able to in the first place. It really, at the end of the day, frees up your time to go ahead and spend more time on what you love and the business that you created in the first place. Let someone like us go ahead and take over some of the maybe things that take up more time on your end, and you can now, again, just go ahead and execute. Lastly, I wanted to go ahead and leave us off with the importance of community-focused content. Before we get into any questions or anything like that, I have a couple pieces as well, but this is just the last slide that I do have for you guys. The importance of community-focused content is essential in today's marketing mix in reality. Whether you're looking to create a online-based strategy or campaign, or you're looking to do so in a brick and mortar fashion, community is always going to be in the forefront. Communities promote engagement and bring users closer to your brand as they now feel it's an extension of themselves. A great example that I wanted to go ahead and mention here is take Nike, for example, or a brand like Lululemon. They have created a sense of community where if you see a Nike ad, or if you see even like a Lulu ad, you're thinking more or less of like how you can wear it, or it's an extension of your brand. There are people that are out there that see certain sports teams, for example, as an extension of themselves. They have tattoos. They are very passionate about this type of stuff. So how do you go ahead and start identifying and building your community? It really starts with just identifying or understanding who you're trying to go after. So going back to building that strategy, does it mean you're looking for a geographical based kind of community, or is this more similar interest based or service based? Like, what is it exactly that you're trying to build off of based on your business and what you have to offer? To go ahead and do so, though, what I would really consider is developing some enticing video or graphic content related to the overall mission and who you are. Consumers are much more likely to engage with a friendly face that they can match behind a brand. With us in particular, we've seen extreme success with building enticing video content for our clients, where it's more or less say like a how-to type of video, or showcasing who you are really and the overall mission of your brand. So really showcasing the ins and outs of what makes you tick. Some last keys that I wanted to go ahead and leave you off on that are, again, that play into community focused content and really help to build that would be collaboration. I think one of the key things that many businesses kind of shy away from today is collaboration. It's nothing to be ashamed of or necessarily like shy away from when you're looking to collaborate with someone. Maybe the business next door offers something that's different than you, but you guys can look to go ahead and merge kind of a campaign together for the next month or two, right? It's a kind of a sprint campaign that you're looking to go ahead and create, but it's nothing wrong with go ahead and doing that. The other extension in terms of looking to go ahead and collaborate with other like-minded individuals or businesses is influencers, especially online in today's market. Influencers play a huge role. They have a great amount of awareness. They open you up to a extremely large new market that maybe you're not already introduced to. And in terms of age demographics, this could even open you up to, say, in particular, maybe a younger age group where you're looking at, say, 18 to 24. If maybe you're not trying to look at that, there's other influencers out there that maybe target older demographics as well. It all depends on exactly, again, what your strategy is to go ahead and look at that collaboration effort to build the one that will make the most sense for you. And I mentioned emails. It's a great time to kind of get into this as well when you're looking to personalize your marketing. I think emails are a perfect way to go ahead and personalize your marketing when you're looking at community focused items or things to go ahead and build and nurture that. Who doesn't love getting an email or something in a sense that's actually geared towards them? I'm sure we all hate spam, something that we really don't want to spend the time and go through and sift. If you can personalize your marketing in the sense of an email or in your social media advertising and make it really geared towards that specific person, whether you're utilizing their first name and last name, just small tips and tricks like that, or really getting into it with developing, say, a personalized video for that brand, that will all play into a great success rate for you looking to go ahead and market your business effectively into the future. One of the final things that I just wanted to go ahead and introduce as well is mobile optimization. Today, like I mentioned, in today's day and age, handhelds, they just play a massive role, whether it's, say, a laptop or even a cell phone. Handhelds and being on the move are extremely important. So when we're looking to build out our online profiles, we need to adhere and make sure that we are mobilely optimized. What that means is that when you go ahead and, again, get on your website, maybe it looks fine on desktop, but you haven't even taken the chance necessarily to see what it looks like on mobile. It could look completely different on mobile due to how the shift effect just kind of works in that sense. Because, again, you are downsizing your screen quite a bit going from a desktop to a mobile. So we want to make sure that there's no broken links. We want to make sure that everything flows along accordingly in the sense of how we want our information being presented. And we need to just ensure that when we are looking at that type of stuff, that we are looking at it multiple times in a year, because there are certain cases where maybe a link can break or there are those cases where maybe something needs updated, where you're talking about years in the past now. Things can get lost in that nature, and it's always great to have some of the most up-to-date content when looking to increase your online marketing strategy.
Hey,
The
Cody,
final
I have a
thing
question.
yes, go ahead.
We're still looking at slide number 5. Is that the last slide?
Yeah, so I was going to get into questions after this. Yes,
Okay,
this is my
perfect. I just didn't know if you
yep.
had additional slides, and
Nope.
I wanted to
That's
I wanted to make sure we saw that if
yeah.
they
No,
if
no,
there were. Okay.
completely okay. Completely okay. Yep, I'm just going ahead and rattling off a little bit more community focused. I want to keep these slides kind of at a minimum. I know there's maybe a little bit more text than I wanted, to be honest, on some of these slides. So again, I just kind of left it as this. If anyone
Okay,
does
no
have any
problem.
questions after this, though, feel free to go ahead and get in touch with myself or Nancy, and I can, again, 100% alleviate any of those questions or look to get in contact with you in regards to some of these marketing efforts. But the last note that I wanted to go ahead and leave you off with was we mentioned creating a diversified marketing mix. So kind of going back to that and understanding the importance of multiple channels. So importance of multiple channels and importance of community focused content when doing so is really understanding which channel works for which type of content and how your community will react to that type of content per channel. So going ahead and talking about some of the maybe most prominent social media platforms out there that you guys may be aware of. Let's go ahead and mention, say, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Each one of those will have its own individual or more or less kind of structured markets that will adhere towards them. For example, the best way to go ahead and say maybe reach a 30 and up crowd would be Facebook. But if you're looking at the opposite, more or less, maybe 30 and under, its sister or brother platform, Instagram, may be something that's easier to go ahead and digest there. Instagram in particular is really geared towards more enticing and just kind of in your face visual content, where Facebook provides more of a place to go ahead and really read some of the content there. So you'll notice that people, for example, leave longer paragraphs and leave more context. PDFs are even present on Facebook, for example, where you can read some of those and swipe through some of those graphics. Not to say they're not available on Instagram as well, but you'll see that maybe more, you'll see that Facebook rewards those types of pieces higher than Instagram would, for example. Instagram is great, like I mentioned, for those short digestible video pieces. One of the new features that Instagram has actually presented has been Instagram Reels. So if you guys are familiar with Reels, it's a great way to go ahead and dive into the platform and get into video content that you can go ahead and manipulate actually within the Instagram platform. So if you really need to go ahead and do so, you can. Otherwise, there are other avenues that you can go ahead and build video content as well, but within the platform itself, Instagram's now offering that. So when you are posting videos and things of that nature and using those features, I will say that each platform will reward you accordingly. So the more that you really dive into these ones, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything really, if you're utilizing and maximizing those new features that they have available, the algorithm will reward you. And then getting back to things I was talking about, LinkedIn in particular, maybe the community that you're really hitting on in LinkedIn could be focused on business professionals. So maybe your business wants to go after CEOs in particular, or you need to get in touch with the marketing rep or marketing manager at this specific business. It's a great way to go ahead and build that community and build those connections there in that network. And then you can even go ahead and message them directly if they do accept your requests to connect and things of that nature. All great avenues to go ahead and explore. And once you do go ahead and build that up, it is, again, a free or relatively cost-effective way to market yourselves and get your name out there. And again, look to just network in particular. So at this point, I think I'm going to open it up to questions, Nancy. If you guys have any questions in particular that you want me to go ahead and answer, feel free, and I can even return to some of those previous slides if there was anything in particular on those slides you wanted me to answer.
All right. Well, we have a question from Shannon about budgeting. It's like,
Of course.
any tips about how much of the budget should go towards digital marketing, and then narrow it down once we're there on each one,
Yeah, so
each
let's go
type of
back
digital
to,
marketing.
yeah, so let's kind of go back to that slide. I did have that nice slide there for us, which more or less just kind of allocated some marketing budget categories or major categories, right? When looking at an online budget or really just any marketing budget in general, The rule of thumb is, say, more or less about 15% of the dollars that you're actually bringing into the business should be spent on marketing. Again, I don't want to put a set price point on anything there. Everyone's budget is different. It's completely okay. Maybe your business is looking at a 5% rather than a 15 or anything like that. It's really a matter of just starting and just understanding where the ROI is coming from once you do start. So if it correlates and it makes sense, you can go ahead and move those numbers up. But looking at the budget in particular, some of the areas that are going to be the most beneficial for you or that you'll see the most bang for your buck really today would be within local SEO. So it's going to be your Google advertising, Bing advertising, again, things of that nature, search engine, anything like that, as well as social media. When I do mention these things though, I will say that unfortunately, just due to the nature of everything today, prices are on the rise. It is still cost effective, but when dealing with social media, for example, maybe the best avenue for you could be Instagram instead of, say, LinkedIn. For example, Instagram may offer you a cheaper price than LinkedIn based on the content you're providing, if it's a video or if it's a graphic. Really just depends, but you can go ahead and actually look at those numbers and those projections before actually dumping any money in, which is a great kind of benchmark or just tool that you can use. When looking at that stuff though, like I mentioned, social media, it would be good to probably, out of a 15% budget, look to allocate, say, between your social media and your SEO, probably about 7.5, roughly about half between the social media and between the online advertising. When I mentioned the SEO side, which is search engine optimization, so looking at the search engine side of things, you're now bidding against other companies that are out there that want the same keywords as you. So for example, if someone types in best lawn care in central Massachusetts, you would now be competing against someone else that is in the same area or field as you, and popping up based on the types of content that you are providing, or how much you are looking to spend within that marketing budget. Like I mentioned though, there are ways to cost effectively do that, whether you're actually putting money into paying or if you're just localizing your SEO and really just upping the stuff that's on your website. To do so, great ways to do so would be including blogs. Anytime you can incorporate a blog onto your website or any type of content in particular that's text-based like that or information-based, Google will reward you and it will go ahead and increase your rankings. So for example, maybe before you started doing anything like that, you're showing up on the second or third page. If you start producing some certain content or specifics that people are actually searching for, you could now pop up within the first or even second page, and doing so in a free nature rather than actually spending any of your budget on that. So I hope that answered your
It's really
question.
important for Google to like you.
It is definitely important. And I know that,
Very
again, that was
important.
quite a bit there, but I think the two major avenues would be online advertising and social media advertising for you to go ahead and at least start with. From there, you can obviously do much more, but I think those are at least a great starting point.
Yeah, we have one more question about frequency. So is too much of a good thing, too much of a good thing? So
Yeah.
is it, what kind of frequency? Does it vary based on the
Definitely vary. Yes. So
yeah.
based on the type of content that you're looking to provide and based on how you're getting that content out, I would say frequency definitely varies. There are platforms, if we're talking about social media, for example, you don't have to post every single day. You can definitely do so if that's a part of your strategy. And if you have enticing and fresh and new content and you have the team behind you again to do so, posting every day could be a great strategy for you, especially if you're finding peak times where your content is really just serving the masses and getting the most bang for its buck, views in that nature, and again, interaction. But I think like a sweet spot for any business to go ahead and set a goal for themselves would be to say 2 to 3 times a week if we're looking to post on Instagram or LinkedIn, Facebook. That might sound daunting, right? Don't necessarily adhere to that 2 to 3. I think that's a great sweet spot once you really get off the ground and running. But really what you can do is, let's say once a week is a great frequency as well, just to even start. It really will vary for your business. Don't feel like you have to go ahead and be on a lookout or really stress for some of that content to go ahead and post. If it's not there for you, don't feel like you have to be posting again every single day. There's no need to really try and rush and build things or rush it that aren't there. I would really just say to adhere towards something that makes sense with your strategy, makes sense with your budget, and really makes sense with your time that you have available or your team that you have available. So that's the organic side of things. I wanted to just go ahead and I guess mention maybe some of the paid side of stuff. Depending on how long you run your campaigns for, typically sprint campaigns last about a month where you A/B test certain items. A/B testing on my end means you're trying out and more or less attempting different ways to go ahead and get in front of the audience, whether it's changing up a caption or changing up the way that a photo or video is presented to the audience. Not necessarily maybe changing up the demographics or maybe slight tweaks there. But yeah, again, it's a matter of just making sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. So anytime you're posting or doing anything like that in a advertising sense and you're spending marketing dollars, Google or even Facebook, LinkedIn, any of these platforms will give you live analytics. So you should be able to go ahead and track and see, say, hey, I've already spent $200 on this item, right? It's not correlating to anything that I wanted or that I saw in terms of my benchmarks. I need to go ahead and close this out. You can do so right away.
Cody, we have a question. This is an interesting one. Lydia
Sure.
asks, do you notice differences between rural and urban markets? Her company's trying to reach more rural audiences.
Okay. In what sense necessarily? Are we talking about
I think
based
they,
on, yeah, go ahead. Like, are we talking about an organic campaign or are we talking more like how to approach them on, say, like a paid advertising side? Anytime we can localize content, especially I would think in a rural area, especially anytime you can localize and familiarize with certain items or areas in that town would be great. So if you have any video content particular, if you've done work in that town for one client or customer, anytime you can go ahead and say, I have a video from this person and now you're marketing that out to that local area, it's a great way to go ahead and just get the word out. It's more or less like a word of mouth type of deal or just showcasing, hey, I've done it for your neighbor, I can do it for you too. But was there any
Okay. I'd like
follow-up
to
on?
turn Lydia's, let's see, where is she? She has more to say here, and I think it would be
Yeah,
best if she um, spoke with you. But
sure.
I'm not seeing her. Wait a minute, everyone. Lydia. Okay, she's
Um,
unmuted. Lydia,
Hi,
Hi.
would you
Lydia.
be able to ask your question more clearly?
Yes. Yeah. So I work for a solar company that started in Boston but moved out to Western Mass, and we do work across the state. And we've really struggled with Boston. Sort of like we've done the PPC thing, and then we've like done radio, and that's really worked for Boston. But for Worcester and the Pioneer Valley, we're kind of unknown. We've done trying to do like brand awareness stuff. We've done a good amount of work. We've been here for 5 years, but we can't break into like people know who we are, and like both through PPC, we've held events. We just can't seem to break in.
Okay. So yeah, in your sense of like localization, it seems like you mentioned you've been trying to get out there at least. So you've been hosting events somewhat in that area or directly in that area to really get the word out there and word of mouth in that sense.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what type of content when you guys are creating some of those PPC items are you guys presenting? Is it more or less like, is it a video? Is it a graphic? Is it anything that's super localized? Or is this more just again relating to who you guys are as a whole for your company?
We'll do in our ads. We'll call out town names specifically and maybe
Okay.
host like a photograph from the town, but it's not super. We haven't done video. It's like slightly personalized to the town, but I wouldn't say if you lived in that town,
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, they like, get me, or like,
Yeah,
wow.
exactly,
It's sort of like,
exactly.
okay, right.
Yep. No, I completely understand that. I would say that would be a very viable option for you guys if it is possible, whether you look to hire an agency for something like that, or if you have an internal video team. I
Hmm.
think something along those natures where you're looking to, again, hyper localize makes perfect sense. When you really make that connection with those brands and just with that town in general, it's really going to help you. But in terms of some of your advertising, I know you mentioned like pay per click. So more or less, that seems like it's going to be Google. Have you guys done anything on social media?
Yeah, we ran some Facebook ads and didn't see a lot of return there,
Okay.
or at least we did get leads, but they were more. We're in solar, so it's like
Okay.
people kind of looking around, but not actually ready to like go for it,
Yeah.
I guess. Um,
I understand. So with that, I would say that, I mean, again, I'm not sure how long your campaign has necessarily lasted. The fact that you were at least getting a couple people somewhat interested is good news. So it wasn't necessarily that your campaign was a complete failure. I know that they weren't really ready to buy just yet, but at least some of the interest and of the awareness was there. What I would say though is you can really maximize that, of course, with looking and reviewing some of the content that was pushed out there. Maybe the copy wasn't necessarily right. Maybe the video or the photos and graphics you guys were using just wasn't the most enticing towards that audience. As simple as it may seem, some minor tweaks really can play large roles in that when dealing with social media. It's very finicky at certain points, which is why we do those things such as A/B testing and that nature, to understand like which ones or which posts and avenues of how we're presenting content will play the best role for our personalized markets. For example, maybe someone that is stationed in Rhode Island adheres towards a different video that is different from someone in, say, Massachusetts. It really can depend on that.
Yeah, cool. That's good advice.
You know, going right back to the beginning when you said define your customer, Cody, I think that would be something to think about here. If you look at who's your ideal customer, and maybe try to
Definitely.
try to switch up your copy or the artwork or whatever
Yeah.
in order to appeal to that ideal customer.
I completely agree there. It really is just a matter of maybe taking a step back and just defining again who that exact customer is. So you mentioned in particular a rural localized area within, say, Massachusetts. So now you have your who and you're looking at the why in particular. How will you target? We've mentioned kind of social media and again, some of those pay-per-click items. It's a matter of, again, just really defining what you would be using to go ahead and hit them or get in front of them, whether it's emails, your website. It's really creating that whole ecosystem. So I mentioned the whole diversified marketing mix. I really wouldn't get discouraged if, again, maybe one of your cold calls or one of your emails or one of your first attempts isn't the one that's hitting. Because at the end of the day, it's really about creating that whole mix and that whole circular ecosystem here. Because once you do create all those touch points, a client or customer will be more inclined to warm up to you, say maybe on touch point number 4, 5, or 6. It's pretty rare, to be honest, to get them right off the bat on number 1. So it really is a matter of retargeting, targeting, and just getting in front of the right types of people. That actually just kind of brings up a great point that I just mentioned with retargeting. If you guys have your own individual websites and you are doing any advertising in particular on social media, a Facebook pixel, if you are directing them to your website in particular, will be very important for you. A Facebook pixel is a tool that is actually within the ads platform that will allow you to go ahead and retarget anyone that clicks on the link that you have from, say, your Facebook post. So if you sponsored something or boosted anything out there and the link was taking you to a certain landing page, for example, Facebook will go ahead and log that and track exactly who had done it. So within your retargeting campaign the second time around, third, fourth, or fifth time around, you're now serving them again, that exact audience who maybe saw your first ad, but now you've tweaked it and adjusted it in your second round. So it's slightly different, still more or less same messaging, but now it's bringing you to actually sign up. It can be a whole, again, part of your strategy. Something to keep in mind, maybe you haven't put too much thought into kind of targeting or retargeting in that sense. Again, maybe another opportunity to bring someone onto your team.
That was great. Anybody else have any questions? Last call. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and especially to you, Cody, for your presentation today, and for everyone else attending and your great questions and attention during this lunch 45 minutes. And next Thursday, we have, let's see, we have another marketing presentation. And when I send you the recording for today and the presentation, I'll send you links to the upcoming presentations as well. That'll make it easy for you. The following week, on the 16th, we have a presentation on small business banking. So creating credit, building credit for small businesses. So that's a little change of pace there. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you again, everyone.